Hi everyone, welcome to your first Skills for Your Community online tutorial. Today I'll be talking you through Twitter for beginners. Before I start, I'll just introduce myself. My name's Scott Bennett and I'm a social media community manager for the Co-op. I really enjoy burning wood in my back garden and drinking red wines. That's a little bit about me. So before we get started, if you're not already on Twitter, you can go to twitter.com/sign up. And before you do that, I'm going to talk you through some pointers before you set up your own Twitter profile. So a few things for you to think about. So the name of your Twitter accounts should be really simple and should represent you as an individual. So use a smiley face, a cheesy grin always goes a long way. It makes you more approachable and makes people want to follow you and to be more engaged with you. So your account bio also is really important. What do you do in your community? What do you do in your spare time? I think it's really important to mix up the content and make sure that you're actually a likeable person who will share everything that they do in their life. Or maybe not everything, but as much as you want to share. So watch what others do. There's definitely no pressure to any of this Twitter malarkey. It's really important, and there's a group of people which I refer to as lurkers. So it's people that maybe observe and look at what other people do. They might like a few people's tweets, but there's no pressure to go out there and do everything all at once. I was one of them people for a good year. Things to think about if you're a local cause. So, for instance, the Twitter name should really represent your local cause and it should be really clear. For example, Salford Food Bank, it needs to say what it does on the tin, and people need to be able to search and find you easily. Use a logo that represents your local cause. So that's got to be the same logo that you put on your collateral and on your emails and everything else, so people actually recognise you as a local cause. So your account bio. What do you do in your community? How can people support you as a local cause? And how can you support the local community? So what kind of services do you offer? How can you benefit people's lives? Make sure that your content is relevant. Unlike your personal profile, I would definitely just keep it to what your local cause is doing in the community. And again, there's definitely no pressure. If you've never done it before, watch what other people do. So that's other local causes and people that work in the community. Who to follow? So that's a really good question. People who have the same common goal as you. So that's other local causes that are working in your community. They might do something very different, but it's also good to understand what's going on around you in the world. So you can also follow other volunteers and colleagues to see what they're up to. The more things that you see on Twitter, the better, really. It really helps you understand what's going on in your local community. Other experts in your field, so that could be, for instance, if I was looking at people to follow, it would be other digital people and other people that are social media community managers to see what their experiences are. So what to say? Talk about what you're up to in your community. People are really interested in what's going on close to home. Join the conversations that matter to you, so engage with other people's content. It's really important that you engage with other people so they know that you're there. Sometimes a like's enough, but it's also good to share your views too. What you're up to in your real life, so it could be that you go out on a team afternoon out to socialise a bit more with each other. So you could share a team selfie, and that would really help mix up your channel to show that you're a real person. It's your choice at the end of the day of what you say on social media, but my advice would be to play nice, and if you've got nothing nice to say to someone to the face, then I would definitely make sure that you don't say it on Twitter, because you don't want to offend anyone. How to say it. So there's 3 different ways that you can communicate with people on Twitter. To start with, you've got 280 characters for the first 2 bullet points on this slide, and unlimited ones in DM. So if you wanted to talk to everyone, you'd do what we've done on this top line here, which says, I'm so happy to represent at Co-op UK at Manchester Pride this year. So Co-op and Manchester Pride would definitely both get a notification to say that they've had a tweet that mentioned them in it. And I've also used 2 relevant hashtags, and I would make sure that a piece of a photo or a video is also included, because a picture or a video gives more context into what you're doing You can talk to one person, so if I wanted my manager Jordan to grab me a flat white on his way into the office, I would start with Jordan's handle, so his Twitter name, so at Jordan McDowell, can you grab me a flat white on the way to the office, please? You often get what you want when you say please, so Jordan, I'd like a flat white in the morning, please. You can send a DM, and a DM would just go to the one person or the group of people that you've included in that. As I said earlier, you've got unlimited characters, and only you and the people included in that will be able to access that private message. Hashtags. So people search for hashtags on Twitter, like I've searched for Pride in Co-op here, and it's automatically giving me the top tweets at that moment as to what's going on with hashtag Pride in Co-op. So I can see that Steve from Plymouth has tweeted a picture of one of our Pride t-shirts, and he's used hashtag Pride in Co-op, so that's relevant to me as a co-op colleague, and Pride as well, so I can really see what other people are saying, and it's really good to join in that conversation and to engage with Steve on that one. So the hashtag should be relevant to the conversation. You don't want to use random hashtags that people are searching for, and obviously then you're not giving them relevant content. You want to use ones that your organisation or local cause uses too. So for instance, Co-op, we use 2 different ones, and this is really relevant to our co-op colleagues. So we would use hashtag being co-op if the co-op as a business is doing something that other businesses have never done before, or hashtag being co-op for them hearty stories like cleaning up the local beach or raising money for the local lifeboat. So there's some examples of what we would use hashtags for. Twitter handle. So as I said earlier, it's really important that you use one that is relevant to you. So I was a little bit late to the Twitter party, and I had to put a 1 at the end of my handle. But if you do search for me, I do come up near the top of the list. So as you can see here, I was searching for Siobhan, and she comes up quite high up on the list, as she does have a very clear name on Twitter. So more information is available at Twitter. So you can go to help.twitter.com. They are the experts. They really want you to use their social media platform. So there is a search box, and you can search for whatever you like if you're having problems with something on social media. There's some examples too, like using Twitter, managing your account, really important one, which is safety and security and rules and policies. So if you're ever unsure, you can go on to their help.twitter.com and find out more information about their platform. So I'm going to take some questions. I know that some questions have come through already, so I'm just going to have a look and see what's been said. So I've got a question off Ian Perk saying, is it critical to have a Twitter account if you have Facebook? That's a really good question, Ian. My view is Twitter is for the moment. So if you want to join in a conversation that's happening right now, you would go onto Twitter, you would use the hashtag. So if you were at an event, you would use that hashtag. Other like-minded people that are there will look for that hashtag and join in the conversation. So that's one way where you can get more followers on social. So Twitter is more of an in-the-moment thing. Facebook is more, for me, a family and friends platform, and one where I would write probably a lot more information and share a lot more detail than what I would on Twitter. Cool. Let's see, there's another question. So Siobhan has asked a question. Hi Siobhan. Is it possible to schedule a tweet? So you wouldn't directly schedule a tweet through Twitter. You would Google for Hootsuite, which is a free platform where you can schedule tweets. But for me, I would tweet in the moment and make sure it's relevant, because the last thing you want to do is schedule a load of tweets when you go into work and not be there to engage with the conversation. So as I say, Twitter is definitely an in-the-moment thing, and you could schedule a tweet maybe and it might not be relevant, so it's always something to be mindful of. Is there any more questions? So Siobhan's asked another question. We want to know how to get more followers on Twitter. Okay, so I think there's 3 top tips, and I think I've mentioned some of them earlier on, but just to recap, you would look at hashtags that are relevant to you and the conversations. You can engage with that content, and it's really important that you comment on people's posts so they know that you're a real person, and they're more likely to follow you if you have the same interests. Another one would be I would follow relevant people, as I've already said, and there's more chance that they would follow you back to gain more followers. And I think I've got one more point which I wanted to make as well. So that one's left me. But Siobhan, if you send me a tweet, I'll come back to you. Cool. And Ian's asked another question, has commented saying thanks. Is there a good way to manage the Twitter page, Facebook page, social media from a single place? So you would have to log into your individual accounts and manage them directly. And then obviously you can then go on to each one and have the conversations. Cool. Is there any more questions? Okay, so you can ask me questions on Twitter. My Twitter handle will be appearing on the screen any moment. I'm more than happy to tweet you back and to answer any questions that you do have. And thank you for joining us today. It's been great to share one of my skills with you guys today. Just before I go, we've got a number of different events coming up throughout September, October and November. We'll be sharing more information on these events on our Co-op Communities Facebook group and on our colleague Facebook page too. So keep your eyes peeled for them. There's lots of amazing